It's a spin-off show. We are shelving Bacon Butty for now, and we are bringing you the vegan sausage roll. This is to celebrate World Earth Day, and as part of that, Quorn this weekend at the match are doing vegan sausage rolls and vegan steak pies for just £2. Now, it's already the cheapest hot food on the menu at Anfield, but they're making it even cheaper for this weekend to encourage people to switch your match day favourites to a sustainable protein option. So we're going to have a go, Neil.
We are.
We're going to try some of these vegan sausage rolls, and we're going to talk about Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest, which is the game that these are going to be available for £2 on Saturday. But before all that, what's your favourite spin-off?
Frasier. Always 100% Frasier. Frasier's better than Cheers, I think, which is, for a spin-off, and that's a massive step up.
Well, no pressure today.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we'll see how we get on. We'll see what the scrambled eggs are up to. No, I absolutely love Frasier. Love it to pieces. Always have. Love the farce. Love Niles. Love Maris. Love the whole thing. It is genuinely, I love it to pieces.
Well, so, as a man who often sees himself as Niles to your Frasier, let's
get in.
Let's kick off. You get in. I'm going to talk a little bit about this game because it does feel like a big one. Liverpool often this season have followed up really good performances with slightly sort of disappointing ones. This feels a little bit different, which I've also said before this season, but it's a big away win, and we haven't had too many of those this season. We're coming to Anfield against Nottingham Forest side, who are going to have a bit of fight about them. They're running out of games. They're down there at the bottom, so I don't think they can just come and just think, we'll write off this one and we'll focus on others. I don't think there's enough games left. So they're going to have some fights in them. But the fact that we are at home, the fact that the home form has been good this season, just makes me feel like we will follow up this big result with another one. But what do you think?
I think it's really important to follow the results up and to follow the performances up as well. I actually think normally at this stage of the season, I'm doing the cliche of it's performances that matter. Sorry, it's results that matter, forget the performances. Yeah. I actually think because of the way the season's gone, they need to get themselves into a situation where they're actually performing. And that's in part because I think we need to bounce into next season as much as possible. We were joking. Well, you were laughing at me. I may or may not have been joking, calling them the big nine before Leeds. But my attitude is, firstly, if they win all nine, you never know what the league table says. But also, secondly, my attitude is much, listen, if they play really well in 8 of the 9, and let's say something goes against them somewhere, maybe the bad performance gets punished, or maybe the bad performance, they win that one, but a good performance ends up with a draw, and they end up just falling short for top 4. My thing is, listen, everyone's going to be excited by transfers, everyone always is, but I just want to bounce into next season going, we've got to see on the grass what it's meant to look like, who's good, what we can be excited about. So I think it does matter on Saturday. I think it's a really important game to back it up. I think also, there's the disappointing result against Leeds, but it is the only defeat over the course of the season in the league. You can't be having another one of them now either. In the same way, I want to feel like everyone's looking forward to going to Anfield. So we're looking forward to it. We just beat Leeds 6-1. We had a great time against Arsenal. We bounce into Anfield for this one against Forest, and we get a performance and we get a result, which means that we all bounce out again. And soon we've got 3 home games in a week, John. And I want everyone going into those 3 home games like, great, get to go to Anfield, get to see them against Tottenham, get to see them against Fulham, get to see them against Brentford. That's what it should be, and that's what I want it to be.
Yeah, it does feel to me like there's, I've had a lot of people sort of messaging me about tickets and stuff like that for this game. It feels like there's people coming into town, people travelling in from elsewhere, which is always brilliant. Liverpool always feels more alive when people are coming, and it does feel like I was a little bit worried after Bournemouth in particular, but a little bit after the City game, that this season was going to be one that maybe sort of petered out a little bit, and everyone was like, we'll just wait till the transfer window, wait till August. But actually I feel like there's a lot of interest in people who want to sort of come. There's a lot of chat about the big nine, and people are going, do you know what, let's sort of go for it, which is brilliant. It's the energy that we need to bring.
Yeah, I think we need to bring that energy, but I think we need them too as well. And you got to see it against Leeds. Firstly, they were dead mature for half an hour, and it was one of those half an hours that, listen, if it hadn't have gone the way it goes, you'd have criticised it, or some people would have criticised it, but I thought they were just dead mature for half an hour. Let Leeds have a bit of a go, found where the space was and punished them. They looked like they used to look, but then they look different to the way they used to look because there was the tactical shift as well from the manager. In terms of people coming over, without being daft about it, we're sat here recording this now. It's sunny.
Beautiful sunshine, yeah.
Skies are blue, Liverpool looks great. People are coming. I know the Austin Supporters Club have got a contingent coming over. They've been messaging me from airports. And I love all that. Genuinely, like that's what you want. You want to feel like that's what this weekend's about. But there's something else as well, to move the conversation on to directly the game. The side we're coming up against are the poorest side away from home in the country. Now, that's not to say we should be complacent. In fact, if anything, quite the opposite. Firstly, we've got to show humility of the way this season's gone. There's no room for the idea of, oh, it'll be dead easy. But as I keep saying, there is such a thing as, if you can rank the games from the hardest to the least hard, at which point one becomes the easiest. And it's either Southampton at home or Forest at home, from what everyone's seen this season. That becomes, from a Liverpool point of view, the easiest. Now, as I say, that isn't to say that Liverpool won't have to work dead hard, that Forest won't be really robust, that they won't turn up with a plan. None of that's to say that, but ultimately, these are having a really tough season. They're 18th. All the underlying numbers for them away from home are dreadful. They really are. Now, listen, as you say, they're running out of games. They can always put one big performance in.
Yeah.
But if there's ever a weekend where Liverpool can get to sort of show a thing or two and build on what they've had, it's this one. And there'll be tougher challenges to come, don't get me wrong. But, you know, seeing them turn up this weekend, do a thing or two, I think there's room in it for them to make a couple of changes. Without being too... I mean, there's a couple of mad things he could do. I don't think he'll do them. But without being too sort of, too based around the idea of resting people. I don't even think we've got that room yet. You know, this is the humility point. I think we've just got to show what we're about game after game after game until it feels like it's in us as the fans. It's very much in the players that this is now the way we play and this is what we're about. And I think this weekend's a really good chance to nail that stuff down.
When you talk about the energy of the team, I always think that there's a phrase that change is as good as a rest, and I feel like there's been obviously a much talked about slight change to the formation. That's the Trent's obviously really enjoyed it. I thought he just really enjoyed this football against Leeds in a way that, listen, everyone loves winning 6-1, but even before that, even before we were sort of, a lot of goals, and we could see how much he was enjoying getting on the ball, being part of something. You could see his teammates were looking for him and stuff like that, and sort of getting energy from him. And there's a real scope for him to emerge as a real leader in this team. He's, been a young player, an excellent player, and he's been obviously a key part of all of our, recent success and the trophies. But for him in that role, you feel like that he's keen to step up and show more about what he's about. You feel like he's, the criticism sort of got to him a little bit, and just this slight move where he's not just got left wingers running at him, but instead is able to sort of get much more, involved in the game and stuff, I think is give him a boost. And sometimes when someone, such a popular key player within the squad as Trent gets a boost, he gives other people a boost as well.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I don't think it's a small change, because I think it has knock-on effects for everyone. Part of what was interesting during the Leeds game and being in the ground to see it was, and I was glad I was at that one. I haven't done it as many ways this season as I normally would like to do, for a few reasons, but I was glad I was at Leeds. And one of the things that you could see at times was Trent was saying to people, you go there, you get out my way, Henderson especially, get out my way, I've got this, you don't need to worry. And as the half sort of progressed, the first half, I thought there was a bit more of that. I don't think it's changed just one. I think it's not just tweaking Trent's position. I think the knock-on effects are enormous. That tweaks Konaté's position. You got to see that massively second half against Arsenal, where he was looking after Martinelli and Jesus and then Trossard almost on his own at times, and that's how good Konaté was in that game. And then that moves Van Dijk, and Robertson's got to have a deeper starting position and come a little bit closer, but then he can explode into space if we're knocking the ball around in midfield, like you saw it against Leeds. Fabinho's now playing more to the left. He used to be more to the right. If he had Thiago there, the left-hand side at 8 is now higher up the pitch. Henderson higher up the pitch. Salah coming deeper because they want the ball out to the flank to Mo when they're building up play. You go on here and you move this many players by doing this thing. And that's why I think it's really important, if this is a way we're going to play, and maybe it's the way we're going to mostly play, I think it's really important to do it against Forest, to get to see it again, but also to get it in the players. The manager's boss on the training ground, and we know he loves it. Like, he talks about it all the time. It's when he's happiest, it's when he's it's when he's at his most joyous. It almost feels like he almost looks happier in press conferences after he's had a full week's training. He's like, and he's almost like in press conferences, can we get this out the way because I want to go back to the training, please?
Absolutely.
That's the bit of my job I love. This stuff, oh, I'd rather be anywhere but here. But I think there's a thing there where you can do it in training, but getting it to work in games is then the next thing that reinforces it, and then everyone's got a video, and then you can go, all right, well, did this bit work, this bit didn't? So I think it's really important to keep doing it, and as I say, I don't think it's a small tweak. I think it impacts that many players if you're going to do it properly, and I think the most important thing for me, what I saw second half against Arsenal and the whole of the game against Leeds, is that Liverpool got the best out of their best players, and one of their best players is Trent Alexander-Arnold. And for the first 30 games of this season, did we get the best out of Trent Alexander-Arnold? He's one of our best players. Did we get the best out of him? No. If anything, we managed to create a circumstance where we got the worst.
We made it slaughtered every week on the telly.
Yeah, exactly. When he's getting made a show of on the telly all the time, and must be feeling like, Christ almighty, there's right backs up and down the country getting away with murder. Meanwhile, I do one thing wrong, and there's 18 diagrams, and there's something in the Athletic and so on and so forth. Whereas it looks like we've got, he is our, and he's the right age as well, you know, he's 24. He is one of our very, very best players in every single facet of the game. Let's get the best out of him. But to do that, everyone else has got to commit. And the thing I love is, it looks to me like everyone else is all in. Yeah. They were great after the Canate era. I thought the whole team, the way they reacted to him, the way he reacted himself, and the way everyone just went, don't worry about that. Every other game this season when something's gone wrong, pretty much it feels like everyone's gone, do worry about that, worry about it loads, don't let it get out your head. Yeah. Whereas the Canate era, everyone, don't worry about that, that's going to happen every now and again. We're all in this together. Virgil had that attitude, it looked like Robertson was over to him, the goalkeeper, all that sort of stuff. Fabinho, everyone went, go on, let's just keep playing, and that's what you want to see from them. I want them to like each other more, and it looks like playing like this, they like each other more.
I think as well, defined roles, or even more defined roles, can sort of, you know, help with clarity, especially when things maybe aren't going as well as they have done sort of in the past. And it felt like, you know, you were talking about Trent there changing people's role, but it almost sort of defines them in some ways as well. Like Henderson was like, it's very clear to me what I'm doing in this team, and just kept doing it, and it was working. You know, Mo Salah sort of as well, and I think a few of them, certainly in midfield, but also a little bit of front, have got themselves a bit confused, where it felt like, you know, and it's easy to say because it's working, so maybe I'm just sort of seeing it work and go, yeah, that's right.
But it didn't work for half an hour against Arsenal, it's worth saying.
Yeah.
So, and they came through the other side of that.
Yeah.
And I think...
But they were still figuring that out because they haven't had the pre-season necessarily to work on this shape, and Arsenal are really good.
Arsenal are really good and Arsenal were sharper, but as Arsenal became a little bit blunt, there was more room. I think that the Arsenal thing, there's obviously the big emotional moment with Xhaka, and then there's the fact that the goal comes 90 seconds thereafter. But I think you see the same thing for Arsenal against West Ham, which is they're just beginning to find this tiring. You know, he's used a small number of players. So when Arsenal were absolutely on it, it was hard for us to play the way we wanted to play. But you can't be on it for 90 minutes. And as it sort of blunted a little bit, Arsenal being on it, as you got closer to the break, Liverpool began to find the spaces in the pockets. And then second half, and I think the same thing happens against Leeds. And again, this season I haven't felt this very often. But Liverpool, to me, looked physically so much stronger than their opponent. 60 minutes against Arsenal, 60 minutes against Leeds. And part of that is having the ball and moving people around. But as you say, you know, I think everyone understanding what I need to do in amongst all of this, and then it being reinforced by the fact that it works. You know, yeah. I think a key moment in this could well become Jones's flick for Jota, for the goal that gets one back against Arsenal, because Curtis, who by his own admission just played pretty safe against Chelsea, we're 2-0 down against Arsenal, things haven't gone well for him and they haven't gone well for the team, but he goes, you know what, I'm backing myself here and I'm backing these boys, and we're all, the crowd's up and all that, and he makes the nice little flick, creates a ton of space. Jota does the decent thing and the ball ends up in the back of the net. And I think, again, the idea of building a team that gets you the best out of your players, that makes all your players feel good. I think it's what we haven't done this season, genuinely, and that's why I do think this is different now. Now listen, they could ruin it all against Forest, they really could, but I don't think they will. I think that this now feels like these, and you can see how a number of players in the squad can prosper in amongst all of this to an extent, and you can also see how it gives the manager the room to change it from the bench as well, in a way where it might be that a different player brings a different thing to a position, but you've created space and you've created confusion. I think there's the thing that they do against Leeds is Leeds don't know who's marking who and what the job is, and they especially struggle in the middle of the park. And we've spent a lot of time this season in those games against the bottom 10, going away from home, feeling like the opposition had the run of the gaff in the middle of the park and that they were on top in the middle of the park. Leeds did not know what was going on in the middle of the park, and it's a genuine major sea change, and long may it continue.
So, based on everything you've said, and I agree, I think there must be the temptation from the managers to just sort of, you know, pick the same again. But there are changes he can make. You know, where you were talking there about different people being able to come in, I'm thinking of someone like Thiago, who, you know, coming in could play where Curtis Jones did, and obviously excel in there. But also, I think in this system could actually, certainly at home, do come in for Fabinho and play there. It'd be sort of a second deep line playmaker. Obviously it's Darwin Núñez who comes off the bench and scores and stuff like that, and it'll be key to sort of get minutes in, because, you know, the more forward source to score and the better. So there are changes he can make, but I just wonder whether because it did work so well systematically as well as individually, whether he'll just go the same again and have his eye on Wednesday maybe for changes.
So I think there's a conversation that I wouldn't mind seeing what it looks like with Joe Gomez at left back. At left back, which feels I'm sure there's people watching or listening to this.
I mean, it wasn't what I was expecting first move to me.
But if you think about what City do in that position and what Arsenal do, so Ben White plays right-hand side at centre-half and Zinchenko's wild. The view Stones as a playmaker City, but Ake is quite responsible in there as well. At some point, and it might be that Liverpool also think about solving this in the market in the summer, but I think at some point, the idea of having a little look with a more withdrawn one. The one thing I would say is I wouldn't do that against Nottingham Forest at home because it's not fair. Forest are going to sit deep and we expect to be the better side. But it is an opportunity to look at it, if you sort of see what I mean as well, because it is one of our more straightforward games. The other thing is the games do come thick and fast the other side of this. It is Forest and then it's a midweek West Ham, then it's Tottenham at home, and then from there it's that's Wednesday to Sunday, but then it is Sunday back to Wednesday, and then it's Wednesday to Saturday against Fulham then and against Brentford. So it's a bit of a run where he might be thinking a little bit about legs. What I'd like to see him do though is change it earlier from the bench. I'd like him to go unchanged apart from maybe one in the forward line, and maybe do one in the forward line, and then your shout around Thiago, if we're on top in the game and we're controlling the scoreline and the game, Thiago as a 6 for Fabinho has got a lot of my attention in there as well, with Den and I on the fact that you're keeping Fabinho fresher for West Ham where you would want him from the start. The idea of maybe looking at someone where Henderson is doing something a little bit different. I'd look at giving Curtis the 90. I just want to see Curtis play football. I want him to have time on the pitch playing football. And if he's got I'd almost rather he missed one of the next 5, if you see what I mean, completely, than the idea of subbing him, because I think the more he gets to play that role, the more he'll work it out and he'll assert himself, because he's such a clever player in there as well. So I wouldn't be averse to the idea of seeing someone come in for one of the... ultimately, we know we're talking about Jota or Gakpo because Salah's going to start. Yeah. So someone to come in for Salah or Gakpo off the basis the fact that whoever it is who comes in, the other one is going to be returned to the starting lineup for the game against West Ham, and you do it that way. And everything else I would do from the bench. I'd start Robertson, but I maybe consider giving a look at Gomez for 60, on 60, to have a little look at what it looks like. As I say, maybe Thiago in for Fabinho on 60, maybe someone in for Henderson, and then keep the Diaz programme of getting him back through games here and there, and I'd just be keeping Trent on. I wouldn't mess about. I think if you're going to do it, let's get him completely used to it. Let's go for it. Give him the full 90 there, the full 90 against West Ham. And only really, if you begin to get to sort of 4 or 5 games of it, only then begin to consider withdrawing him.
Are we going to win?
Yeah, we are, yeah. But I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win. If I say quite comfortably, I think we're going to be in control of the game on the hour mark and be able to make the sort of substitutions I'm talking about. I'm really looking forward to it. By the way, I hadn't had one of these before. And I really liked them.
Great.
So I had them at breakfast, and I was like, I genuinely just took a run at this and thought, no idea. I had my first taste of them here as we've gone right the way through. I've enjoyed the vegan sausage rolls. No,
they're excellent. Well, if you want to enjoy one of these fantastic vegan sausage rolls, they are available. Corn, vegan sausage rolls and steak pies for £2 this weekend. You can get them on all the fan concourses in the Carlsberg dugout if you're in there, and also in the players' canteen. So, yeah, maybe Thiago will enjoy one after the game, after a lovely 20-minute cameo, who knows, but it's all celebrating World Earth Day. So yeah, Quorn, vegan sausage rolls and steak pies, £2 this weekend. Thanks a lot to Quorn for partnering with us. Hope you enjoy your sausage rolls this weekend, and hopefully we all enjoy a big Liverpool win.